Have you ever wondered why some inmates are targeted as soon as they enter prison? And it all starts before they even say a word. Welcome to another episode of Prison Dark. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Your breathing, your eyes, your hands, they give you away. And the moment they see it, you stop being invisible. Inside prison, silence is not peace. It is survival. Men learn quickly that words can become weapons, confessions, invitations, or death sentences. So they reduce their language, short answers, neutral faces, no emotion. But the body never learns how to lie completely. Every breath that shortens, every muscle that tightens too early, every blink that comes half a second late, these are leaks, confessions whispered through flesh. A prisoner can say, "I'm fine," while his shoulders remain raised, frozen, braced for impact. He can swear loyalty while his feet slowly angle toward the exit, not consciously, instinctively. In prison, fear does not scream, it hides. And those who know how to read it don't wait for proof. They see what's coming before it happens. That's why guards don't listen first, and predators don't ask questions. They watch hands, they watch eyes, they watch how long someone stays still after a metal door slams shut. Because fear in prison follows patterns, neurological patterns etched into the nervous system long before the first fight ever breaks out. Most people think fear is obvious, shaking hands, sweat, wide eyes. But prison fear is quieter, colder. It lives in micropauses, in jaws that lock for no reason, in breathing rhythms that don't match the room. Miss these signals, and you don't just misunderstand someone, you misjudge danger. By the end of this story, you won't look at the human body the same way again. Because once you understand how fear speaks without words, you'll realize how much has always been said around you, and how little you noticed. This is where prison begins rewriting the body. This story unfolds where language fails, in a place where speaking the wrong sentence can cost protection, food, or life itself. Prison forces men to compress fear deep inside, but the nervous system refuses to cooperate. Neuroscience shows that fear activates the body faster than thought. The amygdala fires before logic arrives. In prison, this reflex becomes permanent. Fear stops being an emotion. It becomes posture, gait, muscle memory. The men who survive longest aren't the strongest. They are the most observant. They read shoulders the way others read faces. They listen to breathing the way others listen to words. Because in prison, fear is information. This is not a motivational story. This is not theory. This is a psychological autopsy of what the human body does when escape is impossible and trust is lethal. What follows is not about prisoners alone. It's about human behavior under extreme pressure and how fear rewrites the body when silence becomes law. When a man enters prison for the first time, fear does not announce itself with panic. It arrives as silence. His body stops before his mind understands why. Muscles stiffen without command. His breathing shortens, shallow and cautious, as if the air itself could betray him. This is not weakness, it is biology. Neuroscience calls it the freeze response, the oldest survival mechanism in mammals, activated when the brain detects danger but sees no clear path to escape. Inside intake, this response spreads quietly. New prisoners stand too straight or too stiff, unsure what posture means safety. Their arms hover unnaturally away from their bodies. Fingers curl and uncurl without purpose. Their eyes move faster than their heads. They react a fraction of a second late to sounds. Doors slamming, keys rattling, voices echoing down concrete halls. Veteran inmates notice immediately. They don't need introductions. They read bodies the way hunters read terrain. Freeze means unfamiliarity. Freeze means the nervous system hasn't adapted yet. And in prison, unreadiness is visible. Visibility is dangerous. The amygdala fires before language can form. Heart rate increases, but movement decreases. Blood is redirected from the extremities to the core. Hands grow colder. Swallowing becomes frequent, even without saliva. The jaw tightens instinctively to protect the throat, a reflex wired long before modern violence existed. This is the moment prison begins rewriting the body. Some men fight the freeze by overcorrecting. They force their shoulders back. They widen their stance. They attempt to look calm. But forced calm is rigid. True confidence moves. Fear locks. Guards see it too. A man who freezes too long during instructions, who nods before understanding, who obeys too fast or not fast enough. The body betrays him, even when his mouth stays shut. Inside his chest, his nervous system is learning a new rule. Stillness keeps you alive. Stillness also marks you. And somewhere nearby, someone is watching, not for what he says, but for how long he stands without moving. Fear lives in the breath long before it shows on the face. In prison, breathing becomes controlled without consent. Diaphragm tightens, the lungs stop filling completely. Air stays trapped in the upper chest, fast and thin. This is not anxiety in the civilian sense. It is preparation. The body is anticipating impact. Neuroscience explains this clearly. When the brain perceives uncontrollable threat, it shifts breathing patterns to prevent hyperventilation during sudden violence. Oxygen intake becomes restricted. Exhales shorten. Body prepares to absorb shock. In the yard, experienced inmates read it instinctively. A man who breathes shallow is waiting for something to go wrong. A man who holds his breath too long is suppressing panic. A man who exhales slowly through his nose, silently, is trying to not be noticed. Fear wants privacy. Watch closely and you'll see it during conversations. When someone approaches, breathing pauses for half a second too long. When tension rises, the chest lifts, but the stomach stays still. Breath no longer matches the rhythm of the room. Guards learn to read it as well. During searches, during questioning, during lockdown announcements. A man can say nothing, but his breath answers everything. Chronic fear rewires the respiratory center. Over time, shallow breathing becomes default, even during rest, even during sleep. This is how hypervigilance becomes permanent. The body forgets how to relax. Inside the cell at night, fear breathes differently. Short inhales, long silent holds, sudden exhales when footsteps pass. Nervous system never fully powers down. REM sleep fragments. Dreams stay light and interrupted. Breathing becomes surveillance. And the cruel irony is this: the quieter a man tries to become, the louder his body speaks. Because breath is rhythm, and fear always disrupts rhythm. In prison, eyes never truly settle. Fear narrows perception, a neurological effect known as perceptual tunneling. Under threat, the brain sacrifices peripheral awareness for focused tracking. The eyes stop exploring, they start monitoring. A frightened prisoner avoids direct eye contact, but not randomly. His gaze slides past faces, never landing too long. He watches hands instead of eyes. He checks reflections in metal surfaces. He tracks movement without turning his head. Blink rate drops under sustained threat. Tear production decreases. The eyes dry out, glassy and unblinking. This is not confidence, it is neurological overload. Predators recognize it instantly. Eyes that don't rest are eyes waiting for something to happen. In conversation, the fear shows between words, micropauses before eye contact, a delayed blink after being addressed, pupils dilating even in constant light. These are involuntary signals, the autonomic nervous system leaking information. Guards watch for it during count. Inmates watch for it during confrontation. A man whose eyes scan too often is seen as nervous. A man whose eyes scan too little is seen as hiding something. There is no winning. At night, even in the dark, the eyes stay active. Listening replaces seeing. The visual cortex stays alert anyway. Sleep becomes shallow. The eyes flutter beneath closed lids, responding to sounds that may not exist. Fear trains the eyes to survive, but never to rest. And once the eyes forget how to rest, the mind follows. Hands betray what mouths conceal. Fear redirects blood flow toward large muscle groups. Fingers lose warmth and precision. This creates stiffness, subtle tremors,
delayed release of grip. The hands no longer move freely, they react. In prison, hands are watched constantly. Hands that hide too often suggest vulnerability. Hands that clench suggest loss of control. Hands that move excessively are burning off adrenaline. There is no neutral position. A man sitting with his hands between his legs is protecting his core. Hands on knees signal readiness. Hands behind the back suggest concealment. Fingers interlocked too tightly reveal internal conflict. None of this is taught, the body remembers it. During tension, hands often move before the face reacts. A finger twitches, a fist tightens for half a second. Nails press into skin. These are microexpressions of fear escaping through muscle. Neuroscience shows that the motor cortex receives threat signals milliseconds before conscious awareness. By the time a man decides what to say, his hands have already answered. In fights, hands expose fear first, hesitation before contact, overextension, gripping too hard or too loose. The body reveals readiness or lack thereof instantly.
Guards notice hands during searches. Inmates notice hands during silence. The wrong movement at the wrong time can change everything. Because in prison, hands speak fluently, even when the mouth stays closed. Prison posture is a performance. Fear forces men to imitate strength. Chest out, chin lifted, slow, deliberate steps. But the spine tells the truth. True confidence is fluid. Fearful posture is rigid. Neuroscience explains why. Under threat, opposing muscle groups activate simultaneously, a phenomenon called muscle co-contraction. The body becomes armored. Movement loses elasticity. The shoulders don't swing naturally. The hips don't rotate freely. The gait becomes mechanical. The body looks strong, but moves like it's bracing for impact. This posture works for a while. It projects deterrence. It hides uncertainty. But it also consumes energy. The body stays tense even during rest. Cortisol levels remain elevated. Fatigue accumulates quietly. Over time, this false strength cracks. Men develop chronic pain, neck stiffness, lower back tension, sleep disorders. The body pays the price for the lie it tells daily. In prison, posture is survival theater, but the nervous system never forgets the truth beneath it. Eventually, fear stops arriving. It stays. The nervous system recalibrates. What once triggered panic becomes baseline. Elevated cortisol feels normal. Hypervigilance becomes identity. The body no longer reacts to danger, it expects it. Men leave prison still standing like they're being watched, sitting with their backs to walls, scanning rooms unconsciously, sleeping lightly, breathing shallow even in safety. Fear no longer speaks through symptoms, it becomes the voice. The body has learned a language it cannot forget, and even when the doors open, the body remains inside. Prison teaches men to remain silent, but silence is never empty. Long after the doors close, the body continues to speak, in the way a man sits with his back against the wall, in the breath he doesn't even realize he's holding, in the eyes that still look for danger where there is none. Fear doesn't disappear when freedom arrives, it learns new disguises. Once you understand this language, you begin to see it everywhere. In crowded rooms, in silent conversations, in people who swear they are calm while their bodies tell another story. The truth is disturbing. Most fear is never spoken, but it is always being acted out. If this story has changed your way of seeing human behavior, you already know what comes next, because each episode of Prison Dark reveals another layer of what people hide and what their bodies can't. Subscribe to the channel and learn more about the mysteries of the human mind inside prison. And before you leave, reflect on this question, one that most people avoid. If fear always manifests itself through the body, what is your body telling others about you right now without you even realizing it? Stay alert. Language never stops.